Hi, Days.
Hello, Jess. How are you this week?
I am coming to you live from the depths of the countryside. I'm in Gloucestershire at the minute doing, what's the best way to put it? Like an intensive horse riding session. I've been riding a lot and I'm very stiff at the minute.
Very stiff, and I bet like there's just every part of your body is hurting in new and impressive ways.
Well, it's one of those things where, like, riding is one of those sports where if you don't do it, it's really hard to train for it. So that's really what I'm feeling most right now is because I've been out of the game for a couple of years. I retired my horse a couple of years ago. Getting back into it and just using the muscles that I haven't used in ages, just brutal. Brutal. It's
But
fun.
worth
I'm
it,
so
right?
glad so worth it. I'm having such a nice time. I had a bit of a naughty horse towards the end of the day today. She was terrified of the tinsel because they'd put Christmas decorations up.
That's
And
adorable.
I know. And it was really funny because they were like visible when she had her head up, but when she had her head down, like she was stretching her neck down towards the ground, she couldn't see them. So when she was stretching down, she was totally fine. When her head was up, like when we were working, she kept exploding as soon as we would go by the tinsel and someone was trying to put more up. And we were like, can you just wait like 15 minutes till we're done? Because every time
Oh, I
she
wonder what she was seeing, what the tinsel looked like to her.
God knows. I mean, horses are, bless them, I mean, they're flight animals, right? It's like what they're meant to do. But they'll be afraid of a leaf on the ground because that's just what they do. It's been a lovely couple of days. I've got one more day tomorrow, and then I'm just gonna go home and uh, basically live in an Epsom salt bath all weekend.
Well, I'm so glad that you brought up Epsom salt baths because I wanted
Why?
to tell you about ionic bath. What they call ionic foot baths. Have you heard of these?
No, tell me about ionic foot baths because I feel like this is something I actually need in my life.
It's so gross and amazing. Basically, earlier on, because I don't want to take the credit for this, but earlier on this week, when I was teaching these morning meditations about the fact that I need to do a heavy metal detox, but I'm not quite well enough yet
Mm.
to put my body through, it's already had one trauma, it's had an operation. So trying to put it through a deep cleanse is like not the right
No.
time. And like learn your boundaries, people. And one of my community members said, you've got to try these ionic foot baths. And I was looking around to do one and also then started just being like, actually, should I just get one for home? Because I'm going to have another operation next year. I always love a good detox and a good cleanse. Like, is this a thing? And it is so grim. I am obsessed.
I'm
Obsessed.
gonna have to look this up as soon as this is over.
Yeah, so basically they're not that difficult to get. You can get them on Amazon. They don't look that attractive. They're basically this sort of like radiaty like thing that you put in the water and it pulses,
Whoa.
ionic pulses, and it
Whoa.
pulls out all the impurities via your feet. So it's like reflexology with electromagnetic pulses, Epsom salts, and some water in a plastic basin at your feet. But it is so grim, right? What's meant to happen is that the water turns this kind of murky brown. But as I've deep dived into this, the best thing that can happen is that all of these impurities come out and there's all this like gross sludge, like muddy sludge.
Oh, gross.
Right. So there's like an expensive one. It's like $150, which, is expensive. And what you want is the basic one that gets all the sludge out. And you can replace these filter things and basically ionic foot bath all the time. And I've begun to understand via Reddit that there are people who are really, really obsessed with this.
Good old Reddit.
Yeah, and they like sharing the sludgy pictures. And I'm kind of like, well, do I really want to buy this? If it doesn't work for you, like if you're like this every time you do a foot bath, is it
Oh,
working?
good,
Are you
good
living a
point.
really dirty lifestyle? But I will buy one and let you guys know.
Yes, please report back. You know what I really want? Because I have one of those LED face masks, which I
Yes.
think you have one as well, and I absolutely love it, the red light mask. And they now have like panels that you can get so you can use it on other parts of your body. And I occasionally have used my face mask on like a joint if I'm having some joint pain or something, and it does genuinely help. So I kind of want to get one of the red light panels for like other parts of the body.
You absolutely should, and I think it's really sad and annoying that it's not easy in the UK to find red light therapy. It's so
Mm,
easy across the States in general, but obviously LA is one of those cities. But I was looking it up for our friend Johnny because he's got a really bad sprained ankle, sort of 3 weeks into a
ooh,
sprain that's not healing,
and those can
and
take forever to
ever
heal.
and
Yeah,
he's,
like worse than a fracture.
he's a runner. It's really good for his mental health to run every day. So
Mhm.
3 weeks in and you're not moving your body and your body doesn't feel like it's healing. So I was trying to look up and obviously you know where he lives and I'm like, "Why
Yep.
is there nothing?" There's,
Well,
like, no
especially
interrupts
around there.
corners. I would have thought though the rich people of Petworth would be like but maybe they just have them in their houses, I don't know. If you find a red light panel on Amazon, will you send it
Yes.
to me to give to him? I am a really big advocate of all of this type of therapy. As someone who said, I will always have chronic inflammation. Let's hope that
Mhm.
after the double mastectomy, it's a lot less now. There's like less crazy hormones in my body. But it's always been a thing because of the psoriasis in my body. I'm
Mm.
always managing it, mainly stress, like how my body processes stress. And if I let the stress become too much, how it turns into inflammation in my body. And I have to say that red light therapy is the best, and cold water therapy is the best way of handling it.
Yeah. Well, for me, my problem is we're like really getting into it. My hypermobility. So my joints
Yeah.
bother me. And often what needs to happen is like my wrist is bothering me at the minute. And what I'll do is if I wear a brace and I just immobilize the joint for a day or two, it just gives the ligaments time to calm down and then it's generally fine. Uh, but having something like a red light panel would really, I think, speed that up.
You should find somewhere in London where they have the red light
Oh, they
beds.
definitely, yeah, I've seen them in Richmond and stuff like I definitely,
I'm gonna go do a red light bed this weekend and hope, like, for my wounds, for the incisions, it should start to heal. But I've just not quite been ready yet to get on the bed. I'm so like excited. I probably should wait till Monday till I'm given the all clear, but it's 2 days
yeah,
ahead. I can always get off the bed if I feel worried. I'm
exactly.
just
But
gonna
also the
push that
public.
one.
Okay, we should get into Bravo.
We
Let me
should, and
get my notes
wasn't this
up.
week better for all the episodes?
Well, yes, but well, we'll get into Vanderpump Rules because I didn't think this week was as good for Vanderpump.
Well, you know what I
And
think about Vanderpump, and I feel a bit mean about
yeah,
keeping knocking these people who are trying, but there was one funny moment where, you know, Kim's crying, birthday girl's having a rumper pumper from the boys. But at the same time with that, I'm like, this is just also like a bit boring. I can't tell if I'm too old for it, which I've
yeah.
seen other people on TikTok say of just like, you know, we're Zennials. We're somewhere between Gen X and a millennial, you and I anyway.
My personal favorite is geriatric millennial.
But yes, I thought that that was a funny moment. I found it quite giggly, but at the same time, I wasn't immersed enough that I forgave the whole thing. I could come out of it and just be like, "Oh, this is trying so hard and it's so weird and it's so disjointed." The fact that she could be getting a lap dance while two of her friends are crying in a corner. It was funny because that was what it was like going out in your 20s, but
Definitely. I
maybe I'm
think the
too old.
problem, no, because I watched Next Gen NYC, and I don't know if I can't remember if you watched that,
I watched the first
but
2 episodes.
okay, that was great. And that's a similar age group, actually maybe even skewing a tiny bit
Younger,
younger.
yeah.
And I loved that. And again, it's really early with VPR. It's a bit unfair that we're being so harsh on it when it does need a little bit more time to settle in. But I think it's just hard when it's the same environment. You're just directly comparing to the original, and that's tough.
For me, it's just dated. Like, the
Mm,
whole idea that all the guys are so much older than the girls. Like, you know, that the young birthday girl dating the guy with the eyebrows who's 10 years older, or considering he's 10 years
mm.
older. And it's just, she's 22. And I don't know, we've all got a bit. wiser to those sorts of age gaps now. I'm not saying that they don't happen. I am just saying that it feels a bit Villa Blanca, like it's just a little bit noughties where actually now we're all grown. Do we feel comfortable with that? Like all the guys are older. There is not one 22-year-old, and Marcus is
That's true.
so much older
That's
and
true.
such a mess and going through this grief journey that I'm like, this whole thing's making me uncomfortable. I can't help but move into judgment over just being entertained. And I'm not
I
a
mean,
fan.
I'll keep watching it because obviously, but yeah, I was I think more open to it than a lot of people were, and I just found the most recent episode just a little bit. I also found Lisa's constant thing, and this was a running joke in the with the original cast, is Lisa loves a toxic man, but also she loves uh again, I know we talk about the Watch What Crappens guys a lot, but they are, again, the OGs of Bravo podcasting. She loves a broken bird moment, which basically means like someone comes to her with a sob story and she'll immediately fold and immediately be like, oh, you poor darling, and just immediately whatever she was upset about becomes a non-issue. So it felt like Marcus knew that, and he was really, when he was talking about his
Oh my
parents
god, like, he was
passing,
about
which
to
was,
cry, but then did that his whole, like, okay, I know this is a podcast and people can't see what I'm doing, but that squeezing of the eyes, like, he
yeah,
didn't need to do it because he was already, like, welling up, and I thought at that moment, my heart did go out to him, and then when he started squeezing his eyes, I just wanted to reach through the TV and throttle him.
I think that's the problem. Of course, talking about that is going to be upsetting, of course, but it felt like he was using that to get out of trouble, and that's what I really hated. And that's definitely something that Lisa falls for every time. It's like he knew that that was going to be the thing, and part of it was manufactured. Like she asked really leading questions, like "You seem to have been really distracted recently and drinking more recently. What's going on?" And so, of course, then he got into the story. So clearly, production was like guiding her in that direction, but it felt like he was using this obviously incredibly awful thing to get him out of trouble at work, and that I just felt was really gross.
For me, he's just too old to have been
Yeah.
cast in this, and you know, when you look back at the original VPR, only Jax was the old man. Everybody else was around about the same age, and then Jax pretended to be younger.
Well,
This
Kristen
just feels.
was in her early 30s when the show first came out.
Oh, was she?
She was.
All all feels. I feel like I'm just watching old men and young, and it's really either play up on it or don't. But I did see a really interesting TikTok where they were saying what we were saying about West Hollywood in terms of like that place just has not recovered and Sir's always empty.
I
Did I
think I
send it
sent
to
it to
you?
you on,
Oh,
you
you
sent
did?
it to me on TikTok. I sent it to you on Instagram.
I love that. But it's just true, and it's I don't understand why they didn't do Vegas and why we didn't watch people who, because I just think that's so interesting. Make it like those bar staff in Vegas beyond the tips make really, really, really good money. And I want to watch professional people climb that ladder and like who moves into management, who doesn't. And it just, I don't know, it just feels a bit.
It feels stale. It feels stale. It doesn't feel fresh. It doesn't feel, because I think that
None
is
of
the
those people
difference.
are fresh, Jess. That
No,
like fresh is not the word to describe any of them. Even the 22-year-old, she doesn't look fresh. She looks
no,
jaded.
she
She's only
doesn't.
been there
She
a
does.
year.
That's true. That is very true. Okay, well, actually, I think that kind of covers VPR. So, shall we get into? We have a couple of little bits of. I know we jumped straight in, but we had a little bit of gossip that I think we wanted to
Oh, I'm
cover.
interested to hear what you're going to say about this. Please begin.
Okay. Well, first of all, did you see that Fraser from Below Deck had a heart attack? And that
Tell
is
me what you
wild.
think.
So apparently the heart attack was brought on by vaping. So it was the artery supplying blood to his heart suddenly clamped down. That reduced blood flow enough to cause a heart attack. They don't know exactly what it was. I think it was something caused by vape poisoning, but wow.
Do you believe that? What else did you take from those pictures?
What do you think he was partaking of other substances? Because that wouldn't surprise me.
I think that he is on some level, this is really bad because we shouldn't say this.
Allegedly,
I
just say allegedly before everything.
allegedly, well, he's a lot bigger. He is muscular and toned.
Yes, that is true. That is true. He's put on a lot of, yeah,
And when
muscle.
you put on muscle like that and you're, the opposite of Ozempic, you've gone the other way and
Yes,
you're taking, I'm not saying he is, but he is he has a naturally slim,
he does.
tall and lean
That's
physique.
very true.
To
That's
put
very true.
muscle on that, to change your body type is really hard to do naturally. It's almost impossible. You need to be taking something.
Well, here's a question. Do you think that it's the 2 combined? Because I know because vaping is really, really awful for you. Do you think it's maybe one of those things where if he wasn't taking something else, then perhaps the vaping wouldn't be as big of a deal, but the combination of the 2 combined could perhaps cause
Yeah,
an
but
issue?
I would have said that that was just a straight up lie, the vaping thing, that that's something you're saying to take the heat off the fact that your body has completely changed and the place that people will go to is, legal steroids. And
It's a bit like all these people saying that their Ozempic is really just hiking and a good diet.
I mean, that's just so crazy to me. Like people's whole body shapes, like your body shouldn't change like that unless we can talk about Kelly Clarkson, but just to give you another example of a dude who went from really big, who never should have been really big because it's not his physique. It is, Spencer from Made in Chelsea. He's obviously married to Vogue Williams. When he
Yes.
went into I'm a Celeb, which Vogue has just done, they kicked him out for taking legal steroids. So he had a
Really?
completely massive fail. And now he's become long and lean again because he doesn't take any of those. But he had a really
Interesting.
beefy moment. It is almost impossible to get skinny when you're not a skinny person without taking Ozempic, etc. And it's almost impossible to get big when that isn't your body shape without taking something.
To bring it back to VPR, do you remember when Jax had heart attack-like symptoms from taking essentially what you're talking about, and he blamed it
Yeah.
on protein powders, but actually well, I was really gullible because I believed Fraser.
As an ex-PR, Jess, you've got to get better at your crisis
I know,
management
but
and notice when someone's like tailoring the story there.
I was doing tech PR. I wasn't, talking
No, but you know the industry. That for me was a setup
interesting.
story. And I would say that the whole thing was, like, somewhat set up as well. I think, like, I'm sure he was in hospital and all the things, but to leak the picture and have it out there with that story, whole thing feels set up.
Interesting. The other really big piece of gossip that I wanted to talk about, and this kind of leads directly into the Summer House trailer, is Kyle's
Mm.
response to Amanda's claim in the Summer House trailer that he had fallen asleep on a fan sofa and didn't get home till 6:30 in the morning. And his response is, "There's no excuse for staying out as late as I did, but I want to be clear that I did not sleep on a fan sofa. I was at an event that Amanda chose not to attend." Really passive aggressive there. Which moved to a bar and then to an after party. I don't use anything to keep myself wired, so I ended up falling asleep on a couch and suddenly it was almost 6 a.m. Do I regret the situation? Absolutely, but that's the truth and full extent of what happened. Do we think that's what happened?
Yes, I do think that is what happened. I just think he's messy. I don't understand why you're at an after party with fans. Like, for me, if you're after partying, it's because you're up to no good. And the only people, if I had a public profile, that I'd be up to no good in front of is my bestest friends. To be up to no good in front of a fan is just stupid.
So stupid.
So stupid.
So stupid.
For me, yeah, it's true. He got sloppy and messy, which we know he does.
Mhm.
And they're obviously on the outs, having a period like, let's hope they figure it out, but they're having a period of mess in their relationship, and his way of dealing with it is to get more messy. He is for me, he's just like, dude, like,
It's
sort it out.
and I think Amanda
What did you
I
think
mean,
though? Did you think he was lying? Did you think he'd
no,
bonked a fan?
it
I
wouldn't
mean, maybe he
surprise
kissed a
me.
fan.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if he ended up on a fan's sofa, like, that actually, because I can assume that a after party would end up at a fan's house.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think that he ended up at a fan's
Yeah,
house asleep on a sofa because he's messy,
yeah,
not because,
yeah.
like.
So I don't necessarily think that he slept with someone he shouldn't have slept with, but he definitely was on someone's sofa. Look, I really like Amanda. She knows what he's like, and he is one of those people where he's just proven again and again that he doesn't have the desire to change. I think his little dig at her about not being at his event was really passive aggressive. I think there are moments where they're a great couple. There are moments when they are clearly not a great couple. And that's a lot of couples. Everyone has their ups and downs and good moments and bad moments. I just think Amanda's in a really different place now than she perhaps was even a couple of years ago. Like, she's admitted now that she's on antidepressants, she's mentally in a much better state.
Yeah.
But also, she's been with him since she was really young. They're coming into what, the 10th or 11th season of Summer House. She joined, I mean, she was showing up on like season 2, 3 you know, as his fuck buddy. And she's kind of, become a member of the cast over the last however many years. So she probably met him when she was 3 or something. And people
Yeah.
change a lot. So
Yeah, I just, let's see what that season's about. But I don't even think it's really about what we see in Summer House. There's clearly stuff that's playing out now, which is,
well, that kind of brings us into what you didn't know was happening, which was the spin-off show about following them in the city, which is something that the Bravo fans have been wanting for ages. So I'm really excited about that because I actually really liked seeing them in the city during the
and
week.
I want to see Kyle and Lindsay in their natural habitats.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
you know, Amanda, I'm still a little take it or leave it with her. Like, I've never really got behind. I am on her side with stuff with Kyle. It's not like that. But as in terms of
Yeah.
like, if she just disappeared from my sphere, I wouldn't be like sad about it. And I think that could be partly because she's always overshadowed by Carl, because he would be
Yeah,
boring without her.
she would. Yeah.
But would I want to see her without him? So it's a really funny. If they were to split up, I'd still watch Kyle. Just be a mess. But and I know that people feel
I
differently, but it's always she has to have a cosign. Like, it has to be with
mm,
Paige or with Sierra, or like, and I don't know if it's just because we haven't had a chance to see her grow up yet and what she really thinks about things, and but maybe she just is the sidekick.
I would be really interested to see her in her work environment outside of, like, I just think that the working stuff is so interesting. I always really like, I was actually going to say, we'll get into Southern Charm in a bit, but when Whitner goes to his office and he actually has a real job, what a concept. And like, I actually quite like that side of things. And I think some of the more interesting Amanda Kyle stuff has been around Loverboy and some of the trials and tribulations, because I think that entrepreneurship stuff is really interesting, and that's not necessarily something we see enough of in Summer House because obviously they're partying at the weekend. So I would be really interested to see what Amanda's day to day looks like now that she's in a better place mentally. She's got some business stuff going on. Like, I would be more interested in seeing her now than I would have been a couple of years ago.
I think that's a really good point. I think that we have lived with producers who think that we want everything to look like Spring Break on MTV, and MTV doesn't even exist anymore.
No,
We need
R.I.P.
we need some millennial and young millennial producers to make content or to guide where Summer House or the Summer House characters should end up. Because yeah, I am more interested to see what their business and day to day like. We're a different culture now versus like, want to see all the shots and like young people trying to be in the Hamptons. And that house that they rent, they could never freaking afford that. Even for them now, it wouldn't
No.
not be affordable. So there's a little bit of an unreality with it. And it's meant to be reality TV.
Also, I just find like, it's fun watching them go out and get drunk, and every once in a while, it's really funny. There are definitely moments, but I like it's the reason why people like these workplace dramas. Okay, Below Deck has gotten a little bit stale, but that's why people loved Below Deck originally, because it was people doing their job, sometimes doing it well, sometimes doing it not well, but, like, how they had to interact with the charter guests. It's one of the reasons why people liked original VPR when they were actually waiters and waitresses um, working at a restaurant. We all empathize with that because we've all had shitty jobs. We've all had those workplace best friends, your workplace nemesis, the person that you just really butt
Well,
heads with.
they've done very well in Summer House to make the same premise interesting
Mm.
each season, and I think that people fell in love with it again as they did the COVID one because it felt very relatable. All being in the house, everyone fighting, all the Amazon deliveries. And then that sort of, bought them another few seasons of people feeling loyal as they figure out what comes next. And this kind of false start with the city or whatever they're going to call it. It's been kind of annoying that they didn't follow through with it the last couple of times they've been threatening. And I'm glad that it's going to happen now. But I kind of feel like they should have done it before so we could have seen Paige
Mm.
build Giggly Squad, which is so huge. But
Yeah.
at the same time, not many of us understand that
People
unless
don't
you're
know
really.
how big it is. Like, it is enormous. They sold out Madison Square Garden, didn't they? Like, it's
Yeah,
massive.
and if you're following the Bravoverse, you kind of think that Craig is a bigger deal, and
Yeah.
he's not.
No, he's not.
He's not,
He's
and
not.
it's
That was
not
part of the
culturally
problem.
relevant what he's doing either, which
Yeah.
I think is a sad thing for him, but also, like, still amazing.
But
Still so amazing.
Hannah and Paige hosted an Oscars red carpet event this year. That's huge. That's way beyond Bravo. But in general, Summer House is one of my favorite franchises. I can't wait for it to be back. I thought the trailer looked so good. I cannot wait to find out what the Carl Kyle fight is about because that
You know
is
what?
insane.
Sorry to talk over you. I am excited about that, but I'm really excited for the love triangle, Sierra West and
Yes.
Jesse Solomon.
Yes, that's gonna be really good as well. I think it's gonna be a good season to close out the original cast. It sounds like they're bringing in a whole bunch of new people, and I think that the ultimate goal is to keep the new people on Summer House, the slightly younger people, and then transition the older original cast to
Great.
and in the city all the time, which actually totally down for because it's tough when you're transitioning cast out because like I still have an interest in them. I still want to know what Lindsay's up to. I still want to know how Softbar is doing, like all that stuff.
I think that was a problem with the Valley is they just brought in too many boring people like Janet and her
Oh,
wet
fuck
husband. They make
Janet.
no sense to me. I actually quite enjoyed that. Was his name Jesse as well? And Michelle? They're
Oh,
complete
yeah,
like great. Like I enjoyed them as characters, even though they really got under my skin. But
totally.
they are very LA, and that felt like but they weren't the Valley, and like that.
Mm,
They're not. They're West Hollywood, which is two different entities that side of the
mhm.
hill. So I felt a little bit like the casting for that was just a bit wet, and I would have been quite happy to just see all the VPR cast going about their life as adults who don't work at Sir anymore, or don't work at Pump anymore, don't work at TomTom, whatever it is.
Well, I think we're getting that with the new season of The Valley because, both Lala and Schwartz are officially full-time on The Valley next year. No Sheena, interestingly. No
Well,
Sheena.
I'm not going to get into her book. We can do that as part of our festive episode. I am a bit sad that whatever went down there, she should have stayed on the Valley. Lala, Sheena, Schwartz. I actually do want Sandoval back for it because,
Ooh.
yeah, well,
Apparently at
you know what?
BravoCon, he mentioned it and that got booed by the audience.
I'm not a fan, but I don't like the cast that they have now. I
Mm.
don't like how wet that Janet and her husband are. That also
She's
the pretty
awful.
girl and the funny Nomi guy to Mia and Danny.
Nia, the Nomi guy.
He does look
Oh
like a
my God.
gnome, and I just
He
find
does.
they were at least a little bit better this season. But I'm still just like, you're wasting my time. Give me
Well,
Sandoval and his crazy girlfriend that we can all hate on.
and the fights that they would have, because
Yes.
the problem with Nia and Danny is that Nia was pulling a little bit of what goes on. I think we've talked about it in the past with Southern Charm, where they put up this front of like, we're perfect all the time, even though there's clearly issues. Like, she clearly does not like it when he drinks. But when anyone tries to push her on it, she shuts it down, which is not
Yeah,
good reality TV. I mean,
not
it's
good
probably better for
reality
their
TV.
relationship, but not
But
from a
then
TV perspective.
but then they also made a little bit too much of it to a point where it's like he's clearly not an alcoholic.
No,
He's
he
just a
wasn't an
bit of a messy
alcoholic.
drunk, and you're kind of
Yeah,
ruining his life now by
yeah.
this weird Janet storyline of how
And she
he's
was fixated on it, and it was like
yeah.
it.
But that's because they're wet, boring people, they have to make up these
Mm,
I actually could keep Nomi Guy and, Mia in it, but get rid of Janet. I know that people think that she brings drama, but
no, she
it's
brings
kind of
shitty drama.
yeah, it's not good, is it?
No, there are villains that you love to hate, and there are villains that you just hate. And
Yeah, Lala, love to hate her. My god,
yeah,
she used to drive me
exactly.
completely insane, but she was a good villain, and in fact, let's just talk about all the villains in Southern Charm. We should get into that now. We haven't even
Okay.
talked about, maybe we do the Housewives next week then, because we haven't talked about the Salt Lake ladies in Greece.
Oh my God, the Salt Lake ladies in Greece was so funny. It really made me want Greek food. It really made me want to go to Greece in general. I've not been in ages. I love how like Angie is so dedicated to being Greek, and I just think that's lovely. And I bet that trip was apart from the fighting. I bet that trip was phenomenal.
I thought it was I thought it was a great episode. Like, I'm very new to Salt
Hmm.
Lake, and for me, it's been a very easy season to get to know
Yeah,
everyone. I kind of love Heather.
interesting. You would probably like Heather even more in her earlier seasons.
I
If you go
like
back and watch the first ones, she was really endearing.
I of all of them want to be friends with her. Like that's how I judge these things of like who would you actually because it's meant to be reality TV. Like who would you want in your real life? And I think that she would be on the whole a really great friend and go to town for you. And a lot of these things are built on the fact that we're meant to be watching friendships.
Yeah.
And I'm really loving her. And obviously Meredith is a villain that you love to hate. What an insane
Yes.
character she is. I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what the lies are. I don't think she knows. And then you have this bonkers Lisa Barlow who is
Uh,
just damaged goods, but wonderful.
a lot of people are obsessed with Lisa Barlow, and I really struggle to wrap my head around that. I think she's great reality TV. I think she's great.
She's pretty, Jess, and I think that some people probably it's based on just like the pretty girl at school.
That's true. She's also funny, but unintentionally funny, like just the unhinged shit that she comes out with. Like, let's talk about that Cartier watch fight. You know how Bronwyn was like, "This is the type of petty that I live for." That is how I felt just sitting there watching that fight.
So in our house, we have a thing about luxury watches. And growing up with my friends as well, you get your Cartier as not me, because I didn't come from a rich family. I bought it for myself when I was 30. But a lot of my friends get their first Cartier as a 21st birthday present. Really, a Cartier watch is a starter watch for luxury watches
Yes.
because it is only 5 grand, right? So when you're going up a notch, and it just made me think like, are these people really poor? Like, and I couldn't believe I was like, are they poor? Lisa Barlow, you should be wearing an AP or like a Patek. Like this you should be wearing $100,000 watch min. And like the whole talking about the Porsche thing as well. I'm like, you drive a cheaper Porsche as well. Like, are these people really poor? They're like poor rich people.
Especially Lisa. I think Lisa, like it, oh my God, when she was packing for the trip and you had all the Gucci boxes like propped up behind her, it was like, Lisa, come on. Like, we know. I don't doubt that she's like doing well for herself. She's been on the show for long enough that they make pretty good
But
money.
I just feel like all of these women should know what real status symbols are.
You
And
also
the
have to remember they're in
Cartier,
Utah. They're in Utah.
but it's so weird. Like no one's copying you. Love bangles, love bangles are considered not cool. I have one. I wear mine all the time. I am Cartier through and through because that is our generation. Like, I watched
Yeah.
this most amazing advertising and marketing thing about how Cartier is basically for old millennials, and what young people want is Loewe and
Yeah.
not even Petite, like, they're all after these other luxury brands, and it is fun to watch what the luxury brands are and what they talk to, but I promise you, Isabalo, Cartier has been around for a really, really long time, and if anyone's copying anyone, you're copying, what people give their kids for 21st birthday presents.
Well, Mary knows because Mary's response was Cartier watches or grandma watch.
I mean, and what's funny is the watch that they all bought was like the normal tank. And I have a Santos, which I love, but it just sits at home. I wear my cheaper watch. I wear this Swatch all the time rather than the card because it's not fashionable anymore.
But
Terrible.
also just the level of pettiness of Heather and Whitney buying those Cartiers because they knew exactly what to do to push Lisa's buttons. Like, she's so easy to wind up. And this whole fight
I
was about
loved
the
it.
fact that they had bought Cartier watches.
Loved
This is
it.
why Salt Lake is like top tier housewives. Just some of the shit
They
that
are
they fight
real
about.
housewives though.
They are, yeah.
That is housewife behavior.
Percent. I heard a really funny thing to mix Southern Charm and Housewives today. I read something, I can't remember where it was, that basically said if the men on Southern Charm were women, they would be housewives.
100 million trillion%. I mean, Craig would make the best housewife.
Oh, he really, really would. Oh my
Crack.
God. Yeah. Let's quickly keep going through Salt Lake. There were a couple of other things. One, so Lisa obviously got really into having her glam done in Greece. I know, big eye roll in general, but one, as a fairly new Salt Lake City watcher, one thing I highly recommend you go back and do is from a couple of seasons ago. They were staying at Trixie Motel in Palm Springs. If you are a
Random.
Drag Race, yeah, well, because Whitney, I believe, is friends with Trixie Mattel, so they got a free stay at the Trixie Hotel. Highly recommend going back and watching that episode because Lisa has an absolute meltdown about the fact that they were all getting dressed up as drag queens, and she didn't want to do drag makeup. She wanted her glam squad to do her regular glam makeup, and everyone else is in drag and just having like an absolute blast. And Lisa's meltdown, production had to go in to like calm her down. It went on for hours. It is one of the funniest Real Housewives meltdowns. Highly recommend over Glam Squad.
As ex-industry, that doesn't surprise me of like, I feel like that's set up in order for her to have had that meltdown. They knew that that was gonna happen.
Oh, but again, this is why she's a great housewife because it's so easy to push her buttons about like taking away her glam squad or making her do glam that isn't her normal glam or Cartier watches. Anyway, highly recommend going back and watching early seasons of Salt Lake.
I feel like that's something that's definitely gonna happen over the holidays now that
I
I'm
was going to say it's good Christmas thing.
more bedded in. What else is there? Anything else you wanna talk about with Salt Lake?
Well, a couple of things. First of all, Mary is just like winning this season. Her one-liners, her conversation about face shape and how she called, I think both Bronwyn and Heather bucket faces.
I know, there was a different word that she was trying to think of, and I thought that it was quite funny when what did she call them? Dingbats, when
Oh,
you have
she
a square
said,
face.
I mean, that how you can't script that. You can't write that sort of stuff. It is so funny.
Well, I just
It's
don't wanna go
I
to
love
her
that.
church with a square face.
No, no, you get called out in public for being a dingbat. So that was really funny. And also Mary did something which she doesn't normally do, which was she got involved with the other women's fights. She was trying to nudge Heather and Meredith into a reconciliation. Did you notice that? That's very unusual for Mary to get involved like that. So I thought that was really interesting.
The reason I like it is Heather, right? Like, I am saying it right, the blonde
Yeah, yeah,
Heather.
yeah.
I'm so happy that she's not reconciling with like, she was just like, "No, no, thanks. I thought what was really interesting as someone that doesn't watch it, is new to it, is the fact that she didn't wanna do it off camera. She's like, "She's gonna manipulate this, change what I say."
Yeah. because that is exactly what Meredith would do. Meredith is very manipulative. Meredith is a lawyer. Meredith is very smart.
And also people, that whole remembering things differently.
Mm. But Heather's doing that too. Heather is remembering things differently as well. Like that whole
I know, but
Meredith
we
called me
like
a
her,
liar thing.
so she's okay.
I mean, I have to say, like, I don't love Lisa or Meredith, but these endless attacks against them is getting a little bit boring. Like, at some point, you have to just get over it because you work with these people and it's boring. We need something different because Meredith is never gonna admit to anything. You know that Lisa's gonna be delusional about stuff. Like, at some point, you have to change the narrative.
Well, let's see where it goes because it's only got a few more
Yeah,
episodes, right?
that's right. So let's see what happens there.
It's not
The
a
only other thing I
reunion if
wanted
someone doesn't walk out.
I know, exactly. The only other thing I wanted to say about Salt Lake was when Whitney fell, rolled around, and couldn't get back up again, and they had to rope some poor random guy into helping her back up was very
Best day of his life.
funny. Seriously. Okay, let's get into the one that I know you've been very excited about, which is Southern Charm. First thing I have to say is just at the literary party, I don't know if you noticed this, but whenever someone's name popped up on screen, they had the character that they were dressed as pop up as well. Did you see that? So it was like
I
Austin,
didn't
Hermione
notice
Granger.
that.
I only just happened to see it, but it was so funny because it was like Austin, Hermione Granger.
I also was, like, a little bit disappointed on how stupid that literary I feel like they didn't try hard enough.
Some of them did. I thought Madison's dressing as Shep was
Madison was the best.
genius. That was
She just
so
wins
funny.
every time.
Yeah, she does.
You wouldn't have necessarily seen this, but when I watched it live last night, 'cause I knew I wasn't gonna have time to watch it this morning, right after was Watch What Happens, and Molly was so stunning, and she was with Shep, and she's got a boyfriend now, and
Does
I
she? Good.
just love, love, love her. I love that she called Salley a pick-me girl. I love that she said
Yes.
everything that we've been thinking. She said, you know, she uses guy's attention to validate herself, to add to her self-worth. I think she said something that sounds so much more intelligent than how I just put it, where she said maybe it's the direct correlation, self-worth to guy's attention. And
Definitely for Sally.
it's so true. I completely agree with her. I just love Molly. Let's leave it
Me
as
too.
that for that, and then you can go through all of your points. Let's use your points because I'm so terrible at
Okay.
making
No, that's
good
okay.
points.
Well, also, just on the Molly note, I actually really love how she and like her friendship with Shep. I actually think that they're nice friends, and I liked how they met up and went to the dog park. I thought that was a nice
He
conversation.
has the ability to be friendly and kind. The thing that I love about Southern Charm is they all are quite complex characters. They have their good and their bad side, which is why you keep watching them season after season, even when they do
Yeah,
terrible things. And I've been watching some of the older episodes of Southern Charm purely because they're just on Bravo when it's
mhm,
on in the lounge at home. And before Catherine became a weirdo, when she was very vulnerable, there are some really amazing scenes where Shep's taking care of her, and you sort of forget that he actually has the capability, probably more than most of that Southern Charm cast, of
definitely.
being a friend and understanding what's expected of a friend and how to show up and how to ask meaningful and empathetic questions, which is so wild because he
Because
doesn't
he's
have, I wouldn't have said he had a ton of empathy, but he asks intelligent questions. He asks meaningful, sweet, empathetic, and you can tell he means it in the moment.
I actually think if he is not interested in you, like from a whether it's a relationship or sexually, I actually think he is a really good friend. I think he's reached that level with Madison where they're quite good friends now. I think there are definitely Cameron. He was really good friends with Cameron back in the day as well. So I think if he sees you as a friend, I actually think he can be quite a good friend. And also he is super smart. Like as we discussed last week, he just like he might, overuse his big vocabulary, but he is a very smart guy.
And talking of somebody who's quite intelligent and chooses not to use it, Venita. I am
Yeah.
so over her, especially as I've been
Uh,
watching these older seasons where she's actually really quite an amazing, interesting character at the beginning.
yeah.
speaks up. And I know that she, half the reason she's having a problem is because she spoke up about Craig, but she's also had the ability to give context around that. And either they've edited it out, but she just acts like such a dum-dum.
Yeah.
When I was texting you last night, and we do try not to text each other about these episodes so we can save it all for the podcast, but I couldn't resist texting you and just being like, oh my God, she's getting right under my skin when she's cuddling Austin. It's like, you're so insincere.
So my note on that, because as soon as I saw that scene, I knew exactly what your message was about. And my note was, Venita, stop stirring the pot, because she's
She is a
not
pot
wrong.
stirrer.
Yeah, and she's not wrong about Craig doing something wrong in the group for forgiving him. Like, she is spot on about that. But going up to Austin and saying, "Oh, I'm Team Austin," and giving him that cuddle, that's
I
stirring the
hate
pot.
that.
That
I
is
hate that. Go
not
back to school
helping the
if you want to behave like
situation.
that. The other
Yeah, I
thing
just
that really pissed me off is she took the piss out of Molly, which
mm,
we all understand that I am definitely team Molly in this. When she goes,
yeah.
"Hi, hi," I hate it when girls do that, when they do the fake, when they're, when there's been an awkward hello, and rather than being like, "Hey, that was awkward, are you okay?" Rather than saying that, which is what old Venita would have done, by the way. She
Yeah,
goes, like, they're taking the piss out of that whole situation. And frankly, it's beneath her. But
I
maybe
agree.
she's just a pathetic person. I don't know.
No,
God,
I
I'm really
think
angry about this.
I think that situation particularly, Venita was being Team Salley, even though Team Salley does not deserve
But then
Venita's
later she
support.
doesn't. When she does the whole like, Craig, it's like, well, just, you know what? Fucking grow a pair and decide which camp you're in. Cause just,
But did you notice they are pushing her out of the show? She was not in a single scene after that literary party. Did you notice that?
oh, no, I didn't.
Yeah, she wasn't in the rest of the show.
I'm trying to think because that was very much the beginning of that episode, and she's featured quite heavily the whole way through. But they have edited her, and I said that in the first episode, to
Mm,
be a dweeb. She is dweeb energy. Like when she's moping around in that shop in that first episode, and she's like just following Salley around the shop as like a little dweeb. Like even the way she walks is plodding along, and it's so wildly weird because that isn't who she was.
I think it's well, I think she lost her ally on the show, who is Leva, and I don't like Leva, but they were very good friends. So she lost that was one of her allies. So that is definitely a thing. But I also think she got a little we talked about it before. She got a little taste of having a main storyline, because previously she was very much a peripheral cast member. Last season, she got a taste of that, and I think she likes it, and I think she's trying to do that again this year, and as you say, it's beneath her. It's not working, it's not authentic to who she actually is, it's not authentic to the group, and that how well she fits into that group is also a big question mark. Like, I don't think she's friends with a ton of the people outside of Salley at the minute,
Well,
which is not helping.
so I've been watching the COVID episodes and she's in it then, but she was also in it
Mhm.
before, right? As a friend of Naomi. That's when I first remember she went to play tennis with
That's
Naomi.
right. But she wasn't like a main I think she was just a friend of at that point, she wasn't a main cast member. I forgot that's how she came into it. I
So
forgot
maybe
she
she's
came in
just
through Naomi.
aged out of it in the sense that Naomi's not in it anymore, Leva's not in it anymore.
That's the thing. She
I'm
doesn't have an
assuming
ally.
I was assuming that the store she worked at was the Gwen's one because I know that she was friends with the
Yeah.
Madison Gwen's girl.
Yeah.
So maybe she's honestly just aged out. If she was in a relationship with the TJ, PJ, whatever he's called, she'd
JP.
still be in it with him. But her storyline hasn't progressed because it's more of the same. Having said that, I feel like I still want to see her character progression this season. So it's disappointing
You
that
know
there
where I
aren't
would
more
love to see
scenes.
her? I'd love to see her in the city, because she, in real life, is friends with Sierra. She's friends with that whole Summer House crew.
I mean, I feel like she'll just be taking a slot away from someone who could do a better job.
I like her. I actually really like her, and I think she is really interesting, especially in earlier seasons. I don't like either the storylines she's pursuing herself or the edit that they're giving her, because there
It's
is
probably
absolutely,
both.
yeah, exactly. It's probably a combination of both. I think whatever is happening with her on this season does not do her any favors.
No, and I've gotta say, I think it's more her than it is them. And
Mm.
I would probably always default to the producers are evil. But I honestly think that she's a dweeb, and I wouldn't have said that she was a dweeb before, but she's
Hmm.
just dweeb energy, and we're too old for that, that's a high school thing of,
Well,
"Let me." I know
everything
that you're gonna
about
back her
Southern
up 'cause you
Charm.
don't feel the same with me, the same as me about it.
Well, it's more
Dweeb.
just everything about Southern Charm feels very high school. It definitely feels very cliquey. If you're not in with the cool kids, then, and this is where Sally's pick me girl thing really comes into play, because Sally sees herself as one of the cool girls and she wants to be like one of the queen bees of the show. That's part of her whole reason for befriending Craig. So I think that whole show feels very cliquey, and that's why Molly is the nerd in the whole high school dynamic that they have going on there. Just talking about Sally and the fucking hot tub. She is so mad that Craig is not interested in her. She is so mad about that when she's like, I've been in the hot tub with him multiple times. I just don't understand why something hasn't
She's just
happened.
terribly immature. She's just
Yeah.
very, very, very young, and, maybe it's not even immature, she's just young. She's just very young. She hasn't had a ton of adversity in her life, so hasn't really a need to grow up. She lives in a beautiful house, which I know that she said in an earlier episode she gets paid like 400 grand a year or something. Something isn't quite adding up with that beautiful house full of a double closet full of clothes, enough time that she can get drunk and stay in hot tubs till 4 a.m. Just, there's not something truly honest going on. Like, what's happening here?
I think she comes from money. I think that's part of
Yeah.
it too. I think a lot of them
Well,
come
because
from
I just don't get
money,
how you can
apart from
be as
Madison.
careless as she is without feeling like there is a safety net for you.
I don't hate giving credit to Shep, but that conversation where he admitted that he was the problem and shouldn't have said something to Craig about the Austin and the two mystery fans, I thought actually that was, he does have moments. This is what we were saying earlier. He has moments. They're just so few and far between.
Because also, like, just own it. You didn't go yes, you and Craig made a decision not to take it any further, but he is the least trustworthy person that you could have asked. You were
Exactly.
definitely gossiping when you went and did it. And frankly, I would have never gone to Craig. I actually would have just gone straight to Austin. I wouldn't have talked to anybody
Mm,
else if I was Shep and just said, these two girls said this to me. So if there's any glimmer of this being truth, you need to go back to wherever this has come from, figure it
yeah.
out, or tell your girlfriend, because it's going to come. It's going to come
Well,
out.
let's talk about Austin and Audrey, because apparently they are not together in real time. So, in a surprise to absolutely no one, they have split.
I think it's right for both of them. I think that he needs someone closer to his own age in the same city, and gets, and it's so weird to me because he comes from money. He's a bit like a Whitner. He's going to inherit a nice lump sum of money. Like, he has a safety net. He may not have a trust fund, but he has parents who have money. He's been brought up with money. And sometimes men, particularly in situations like that, need a woman partner who understands the background they've come from. I'm not saying that that's how the world should be and that people should marry within their own and that people can't like change and grow. I'm just saying there's a certain sort of person where that would work better for them. And I'm also saying that, and I've said this before on the podcast, that for Shep, for example, he would do a lot better not marrying someone who understands where he comes
Yes,
from.
that's very
Marrying
true.
someone luxurious and brilliant and sexy and like, I see him with a Tulum girl, like the hot girls that are on the yachts and the you know, someone that can keep him on his toes. That would do really well
Yeah, absolutely.
for Shep. But I
Absolutely
think
that.
for Austin, he needs someone who gets where he's coming from.
Also, just as an aside, Austin's bedroom looks like a teenager's bedroom. When they were in there like setting the kittens up. It just looked disgusting. I'm
His
just
whole
gonna
house
throw
looks
that out
like
there.
that. His whole house, all of his houses have looked like that, and it is stupid and wild because he obviously doesn't come from that. He's come from a really nice background.
I feel like at one point he even had a interior designer that is like a storyline. Maybe that was Shep, but
I mean, he's
gross.
he's a wastrel. We
Yeah,
know this.
we definitely know this. Okay, I think the only other thing of note was Madison's conversation about Craig. And I thought what she was saying about how she looked up to Craig at one point and thought he had really gotten his shit together, but that was very clearly because of Paige. I thought that was really, really interesting. I thought there were repeated conversations in this episode and actually throughout the season. And I think probably sparked by that conversation that was had at the reunion about whether or not people thought Craig was scary. Have you noticed that that's been a theme that's come up quite a few times in this episode? People are afraid to
Yeah,
piss
but
Craig off.
for me, it's code for a bad alcoholic. Or not a
Definitely that.
bad alcoholic, a bad drunk.
A bad drunk.
I
Yeah.
don't think he's an alcoholic. And I think what people are missing here isn't necessarily that Paige, was part of this. Obviously she was, but it's who he chooses to be when he's single versus
Yeah.
who he chooses. But, sort of saying it's all Paige takes a lot of the power and it makes him almost a victim in it. And he's
No.
choosing to do these things. He's also choosing to mess around with Salley because she'll stay up till 4 a.m. with him.
Yeah.
She is just a bad influence on everybody. She's not any good for him. He somewhat gets that, which is why he's not taking the deed home and finishing whatever the saying is. He is someone that shouldn't drink.
No. I think Paige realized he was a bad drunk. He doesn't realize he's a bad drunk. I just thought going back and seeing that montage of him being aggressive was pretty eye-opening. Like, I know that it's one of those things where you remember him vaguely being a bad drunk, but like when you go back and you look at earlier clips of him, he was a really bad drunk. He got kicked out of back to Kyle and Amanda. He got kicked out of Kyle and Amanda's wedding because he was so drunk and aggressive.
Yeah, well, look, and you just can't bring Kyle into this because he's just as bad
Yeah,
punching things when he's drunk, falling asleep
that's
on who knows.
that's very true. That's very true.
Craig could have won that argument with Austin if he'd stopped at, I can't believe you're having a go at people having fun or whatever it is. And then he just feels the rage and just goes for the jugular.
Yep.
And then does it again, goes for the jugular twice on Austin. And there's no need. Like, you're already leagues apart, not because you're more deserving or more worthy, but because you've got your life together somewhat. You went and made pillows and it's all sort of come together for
Been
you. And
very successful.
Austin has no idea.
No, they. I think it was when in that Madison conversation, someone was saying Craig and Austin need to go to therapy, and I entirely agree. It's a very toxic friendship.
I just think they probably shouldn't be friends. And I just think that Craig probably doesn't really deserve friends when he's drinking.
I mean, I get it. I
But
wouldn't want to be around
sober,
him.
he would never go for Salley. And
No.
Salley is an issue in all of this where she loves the tub time. It makes her little ego, her little high schoolness feel so satisfied. So she's part of this problem. And I'm really annoyed that Charlie has now become part of the problem as well. Like, she's more mature. She shouldn't have gotten the hot tub with the two of them.
And actually, you can tell Craig is really interested in Charlie. He's just taking it slow, but like you can see the difference between his interactions with Charlie versus his interactions with Salley is very, very apparent. And he needs to shut it down with Salley. It's going to make for great TV later on in the season as we get more into it, for sure.
Yeah. I'm not sure where it's all going, but I'm
No,
glued to my seat.
exactly. Well, I will see you. Well, I'll speak to you before next week for sure, but I will see you again next week.
See you next week.
Bye.